What's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard here, Ballard Sports Media, coming at you today with a video talking about Alabama football. Nick Saban has won 6 national titles in his career in total, one being at LSU, which means there's 5 national titles at Alabama. But, despite the 5 that he's won and all that, it seems kind of hard to rank all the national titles at Alabama that he has got, all 5 of them. Is it hard to rank? Maybe. But I have broken it down, and I have ranked them from the best to, I don't want to say the worst, but it wasn't as great as the others. So, let's take a quick look. Alright, so I'm trying to think of where I want to start here. I guess it really doesn't matter how I start it. By the time I get to what number 1 is, you're going to say, of course, that's the only one left. So, but whatever. I'm going to start down at 5. Okay. 2011, 2012, that season. Rewind. Let's take a quick look. Undefeated LSU, undefeated Alabama. The game of the century, the 9-6 game. Only field goals were kicked in that game. I think wasn't it tied at like 3 or tied at 6, I think. But the 9-6 game, as they call it. LSU would win this 9-6. It was a scoreless first quarter. It was definitely a defensive game. As an Alabama fan, yeah, that loss kind of hurt. But I give LSU all the credit in the world. Les Miles was truly competing for a title that year. Alabama, in that season, trying to keep their win streak going. They were both undefeated. Game of the century. It was hyped up. A lot of people said it would be a defensive game. I don't know if they expected this, though. In the second quarter, that's when the scoring began. Alabama kicker Jeremy Shelley kicked a 34-yarder to make it 3-0. LSU came right back. 19-yarder by Drew Alleman, however you say his name. And then pretty much Alabama. Now, I don't remember what exactly happened, but I think he was a freshman that came in, Cade Foster. I talked about him a little bit last week when I talked about, I made a video, is Will Reichard the answer for their kicking game, which has struggled so much in the Nick Saban era. I talked about Cade Foster being one of the worst I've ever seen. He's built like a tight end. What's he doing kicking? But he did make a 46-yarder in that game. Again, he made a couple good field goals. Let's not go too far with it. A 46-yarder by Cade Foster to make it 6-3 Alabama. LSU came right back. 30-yard field goal by Drew Allman. Tied at 6. Right? And that was scored with like 14-13 left in the game. Right? The rest of the game was defense, killing the clock, not doing anything. Overtime comes in. And, pretty much in the final, seconds of what was left in overtime, a 25-yarder by LSU's kicker, Allman, to win it 9-6. So, a great game to watch in terms of, it was a game of the century, and it was one of those games, you'll never forget it, But at the same time, as a Bama fan, it kind of hurt to lose that game. So, you look at that. Alabama goes on to win the rest of their games, right? Looking at the 11 season, you have that game. Bama goes on to win the rest of their games, right? They finish 11-1. Overall, 12-1, winning the national title where they blew out, shut out, whatever. I don't know They won the game 21-0, right? I mean, it was dominant, you know. And winning that title 21-0 over LSU just felt like sweet, sweet victory, sweet revenge. It meant everything. I think that A.J. McCarron at quarterback, that was the year that he got so excited he ran over to Coach Saban and just hugged him. Big smile on both of their faces. So I would say, you know, this was a really great season for Alabama outside of that game of the century loss. It held them back a bit. A lot of people looked at it and said they got to do something. They got to go win the rest of the games. If they meet with LSU again in the title, potentially, LSU might win it because they already won in Tuscaloosa or something, right? Wrong. Alabama shut them out 21-0, so that's number 5 on the list. Moving on to number 4. The 2012-2013 season BCS National Championship between Alabama and Notre Dame. Not much to really say about this other than it was Saban's 4th title overall, his 3rd at Bama. Of course, it helped Alabama win back-to-back national titles, which is a rarity in college football. I mean, obviously you see now it's pretty simple for a team to make it back there, but it's really hard to repeat as a champion or go undefeated twice or do this or that, right? It's really hard to win 2 in a row. Alabama did that in 2011 and 2012. They blew Notre Dame out by, what's that math right there? I'm not the best at math, but 42-14, 28 points, right? They beat Notre Dame, blow them out big time. It helped them win back-to-back titles. A.J. McCarron was the quarterback. Saban won his 4th title overall. Notre Dame was a team that was really good that year. Made it to the title, well-deserved. Figured it'd be a close game. It wasn't even close whatsoever. So, that's number 4 on the list. Moving on to number 3. Now, this might surprise you. You might want to put this at number 1 or wherever. Listen, you can put these in any order you want to. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I just did a lot of thinking, and I kind of did it not based on how it happened and the true significance and what it meant for Alabama, for Coach Saban and everything. But number 3 on the list, 2017-2018, the legend of Tua is born. Saban taking a huge risk like he never did before. He benches Jalen Hurts, his 4-star dual-threat quarterback who started 28 games, or, well, you count the Natty as 28. But, you know, prior to them winning that game, going into the game, it was 25-2 as a starter, right? His 2 losses were a championship to Clemson the year prior, only by 4 points. He left that game with the lead, by the way. And that same year, they lost the Iron Bowl. He didn't do good. Saban benches his sophomore quarterback, who helped the Tide get to the title. He benches him and puts in a 5-star freshman, never taken a meaningful snap in his entire life, right? Now, he started in high school and probably won the state championship, I don't know, at Thompson High School. And he puts him in after being down 13-0 at the half. They come back and win it 26-23 in overtime. Tua takes a sack. Should not have taken it. He kind of joked after the game, and he said, "I needed more room to make the throw, coach." He took that sack. He stepped back. He delivered the football in such a fashion, and I have never seen Nick Saban do such a thing, putting a freshman quarterback in to lead a comeback. We've never really seen him Now, we've seen Alabama prior to that be down in a championship game. Obviously, again, the year before they lost to Clemson. Nick Saban lost for the first time ever in a championship. But we never really saw him shut out or anything. You know, like we've never seen a Nick Saban team be so down in a title game like that. So, I don't know. I just think it took guts to put Tua on that field. We knew he was great, but for him, like, you could have been down in, like, the Iron Bowl like you were and put him in then, right? That's one thing. All right, here, we need to beat our rival, dude. Go out there and win this for us. Okay. You were down in the national title where it mattered most against Georgia. And you put a freshman in over the guy that helped you get to back-to-back titles. He said, I don't want to risk it with Jalen. I'm going to put Tua in. He's been waiting a long time for this. Let's put him in there. So he took that risk. And, of course, 2nd and 26 happens. 26-23 overtime win. Tua to Smitty, as they call Devontae Smith, after being down 13-0 at halftime. Number 2 on the list. 2009. We are finally back. Alabama is finally back on top. Nick Saban in his third, 2007, 8, 9, third year at Alabama. He wins his 2nd overall national championship, his first at Bama. He's got one in 2003 at LSU when he coached there. And he helped Alabama win their first national title since 1992 with Gene Stallings when they won it that year, I think. Was that the year they beat Miami, if I recall? And so they won the title for the first time in 17 years. 17 years Alabama was not on top. And they beat undefeated Texas 37-21. Colt McCoy, if I recall, was out in that game. I think it was who was the Texas quarterback? Texas QB 2009, Blaine Gabbert or whoever. Trying to think, but Mac Brown was there, and let's see. I don't know. I'll have to go back and double check. But, I mean, it meant so much to win that for the state of Alabama, for all the fans. And Nick Saban made a statement that night. This is not the end. This is just the beginning. I think maybe he made it a couple days after, but you know he meant it that night too. So, but I think that man, just... Now, it's one thing to win one national title, right? But as you look back at it now, and what Nick Saban did this decade, winning pretty much, he won half the decade. He won 5 titles out of the 10 years in the decade. So, I mean, when you look at it like that, and you look back at 09, that was the beginning of something great. So anyway, that's number 2 on the list. And now moving on to number 1. And Bama fans, there's pretty much only one left in the Nick Saban era. Dogs. 2015-2016 season, Saban wins his 100th game as the head coach. As a head coach, I think maybe that was overall. Maybe his 100th win at Bama. I'll have to double check. But that's his 5th title overall. There was a lot of doubt for Alabama that year after the Ole Miss loss when they lost at home 43-37. Defense did not play that great at all that year, really. They lost 2 consecutive years to the Rebels, that being the 2nd year. They really haven't lost to Ole Miss since 2015. Alabama had a Heisman winner in Derrick Henry, the running back. They shut out Michigan State 38-0 in the Cotton Bowl semifinal. And in a shootout battle for the title with Clemson, this was the first year against Clemson, really, in this playoff era. They won it 45-40. So with all, they had injuries that year. Again, that Ole Miss loss held them back. They dropped to like 15 or so, and they climbed all the way up to win the Natty. They were ranked number 2 in the final poll. Final poll being like the playoff release rankings, you know, the selection day. Again, they shut out Michigan State 38-0. Go on and win by 5 against Clemson. Jake Coker, the quarterback, this nobody kid, comes out of nowhere and, I mean, wins the title. I don't know where he's at now. I don't really think he went to the NFL from what I have read and heard. But, man, that meant so much for Alabama to win that title in 2015. Again, had a Heisman. Dude, how do you lose in September to Ole Miss? Now, Ole Miss wasn't that bad that year. I'll be real. I give them credit. They were a decent team. But you lose that game in Tuscaloosa at home. A lot of doubt starts to pour on you. You end up having a Heisman winner, winning the national title, and going to the playoffs after a loss that on your resume should have said you get nothing. You get like a Sugar Bowl instead of a Cotton Bowl with the semifinal, you know. So anyway, there you have it. My rankings for Nick Saban's national championships. There's 5 of them at Bama, 6 overall if you count the one at LSU. But Bama fans, let me know what you think. How would you rate my rankings? How would you rank the national titles? You could put them in any order. I think each one has its own significance. And I think as I look back at it, that 2015 team, man, that was one to definitely remember. 2017 with Tua. Again, Nick Saban taking a risk with a freshman quarterback. No one ever thought he would do that. We've never seen him done it. That took guts. That was a risk. 2009, Bama fans been waiting a long time for the head coach finally to fill the shoes of a guy like Bear Bryant, to fill the shoes of a guy like Gene Stallings who won in 92. Mike Shula was not it. Trust me. But anyway, so that's how I would rank these. Bama fans, let me know. Anyone else? Let me know how you would rank Nick Saban's 5 national titles at Alabama. Is 2012 number 1 for you? 2015 like mine? 2009? Let me know. Definitely let me know. Let me know what you think of my list. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Until then, Ballard Sports Media checking out. Y'all have a good one. Roll Tide.